Hey guys, it's Joe with Pocketnow. Today I've got our third installment of Launcher Wars. This time it's Go Launcher EX. Let's go take a look. Okay, to introduce things, a launcher, for those of you who don't know, is the app that runs on your system that launches all of the other apps. It also takes care of your home screen, your dock bar, your app tray, just all kinds of stuff that it does. And we've shown you recently Launcher Pro, which is a very nice launcher. We've shown you ADW Launcher EX, and just recently we showed you ADW Launcher 2, which was an early beta of the total rewrite that they're coming out with. Well, here it is. I've been using this for a few days now as my stock launcher, and it's been great. There are quite a few little caveats and an awful lot to dig through, so let's go ahead and show you. Now, just before we dig into that, I want to give a big thank you out to our viewers. There were several of you who recommended that we added this to our Launcher Wars series, so thank you for that participation. It took a long time coming because I wanted to wait for one of the updates to come out, and that just came through this morning. And I also had to have some time to dig into it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look. First of all, this is a launcher just like any other launcher. It has home screens, it has nice transitions. I'm using the windmill transition. It's got the little which screen am I on indicator dots up at the top. And it's got a continuous rotation. So here I'm at the end. If I keep rotating, I'm all the way over on the other side. So very nice feature, very fluid. I like it quite a bit. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. I've left this screen open for us, so let's go ahead and open up the app drawer. Now you noticed a kind of a pinwheel effect animating into the app drawer. That's one of the cool things it does. Now you can set that to be pretty much any animation that you want. They've got half a dozen or so that it comes preloaded with. I just chose that one because it kind of showed off what this could do. You'll notice that this is tabbed and it's paginated. Let's go to tabs first. So right now I'm looking at all of my apps. If I tap that, I can go to my recent apps and you can see which apps I've run most recently, and then you can see which apps I have running. And in this case, you can even see what my free and total memory are. So it's really nice and really kind of well thought out to give you more information than just, okay, here's your apps, blah. But since we're back here, let's go ahead and talk about this. One of the things that I don't like about the stock Android launcher is when you've got a lot of apps in here, this list becomes very long. And when you scroll down through it, it's a big long list of icons. That's not all that friendly, and you can get lost really easily. For example, if I scroll this, did I already see this row once it's up here, or did it get off the screen? It's hard for me to take in everything that's on one screen because it's just all over the place. So that's why I kind of like this. This is a paginated view. So if I go ahead and scroll over, you can see now I'm on page 2, page 3, and the little dots up here tell you what screen you're on. It is a horizontal pagination rather than a vertical scroll, so that might take a little bit of time for a few of you users, myself included, to get used to. But it's very nice because now I can look at everything on this page, decide whether what I'm looking for is there or not, and move on to the next one. So, and I launched that inadvertently, so let me go ahead and get back. Alright, so that's where we are. Now, the app drawer and the home screens interplay very tightly. For example, let's say I want to take this Pluralsight app and put it on my home screen. I'm going to tap and hold. Now, you'll notice kind of very iOS-ish. Once I've tapped and held on that, all of these little guys are now wiggling to tell you that I can do something with them, kind of to prompt my interaction with them. Very, very much like what happens on the iPhone. So let's go ahead and long press on this. Down here at the bottom, you can see that message changed. Now it says move to screen. So we're going to change down there. We're going to just drop it. Now that takes us over to, and doing this in slow motion is relatively hard. So let me talk you through it. I tap on that. I drag it down to where this home icon is, which will change into move to home screen. It will then bring up a series of thumbnails of my screens where I can choose which screen to put it on and even the positioning on that screen. So that's what I'm going to do just really fast because I can't narrate and do it at the same time. Okay, just like that. Now, that's one of the easier ways to do this. You can put anything that you want from that app drawer onto any one of your screens quickly, easily. It's a piece of cake. It does take a little bit of time to get used to, but it's still nice nonetheless. Now, when I long press on this, you can see that I can either replace this, I can rename it, I can delete it, or I can even uninstall it from here, which is very similar to what we saw previously with ADW Launcher 2, the early beta. There are a few things that does that this still doesn't, but you can see with stuff like this, those two launchers have really had to step up their game, and we're still waiting to see what Launcher Pro does in response to this. But let's move along. What I've got down here is my little Gmail icon. While I was filming this, you notice I got a new Gmail, and I now have an unread Gmail indicator down on the bottom. So I can go ahead and tap that and go into my Gmail. It will do the same thing for missed calls and for text messages and whatnot. So very cool. But that's not included in the launcher. In fact, that's where this launcher is kind of interesting. But we'll come back to that. First, let's go into our preferences. So we tap on menu. Settings is the phone settings. Preferences is the settings for the app. So we can change display settings. We can hide the status bar, we can hide the icon labels, we can even make our grid size tighter. We can make it 5x4 or even 5x5 where the default is 4x4. Wallpaper scrolling, we can either have the wallpaper fixed and everything float on top of it, or in traditional Android sense, we can have that wallpaper scroll with us. This is where I mentioned that you can rotate between the screens, so once you get to the furthest on the right, you swipe again and it will take you to the furthest screen on the left, so that's very nice. Transition effect, that was the windmill effect that I showed you. You can see there's a whole bunch here that we can do. Very nice. Let's go ahead and change it to flip, and we'll see that in action in just a minute. The fling speed, I've bumped that up to maximum so it looks more responsive. Elasticity, I've also bumped that up so it's very elastic. Screen indicator up on the top, and auto hide the screen indicator. I don't want to see it all the time, so I've got it set to auto hide. So that's the display settings. Screen settings, basically it takes you to your thumbnails of your screens. If I want to add a new screen, I add a new screen. If I want to add a new screen, I add a new screen. Just like that, and I can keep going and going and going. So very cool. There's even another page where I can add more. This is the first time that I have seen something where you can add more than 7 screens, and I don't know why one would want to, but you can, which is really kind of cool. So to remove them, it's just as easy. Just tap on the little X up there and do the same thing, and if you tap on it right, it will work right, and if you tap on it wrong, of course it'll take you back to the home screen. So there we go. I've got it ahead and put that back to the same way that we had. You can also change if you want your home screen to be that one or that one. And again, my fingers are a bit bigger on camera than anywhere else, but I can just tap that little home button and make that screen my home screen. So really kind of nice. Next, let's move into dock settings. Now, the dock tray down at the bottom is very nice. Brandon and I both like it static, meaning I want the icons in that dock to be there regardless of what screen I'm on. That's kind of the purpose of the dock. However, you don't have to do that. I can have up to 3 rows, so I can just swipe left and right to get more and more docks down on the bottom, and I can have basically 3 times as many icons down there as I normally would. There are various different styles that you can set, either the default style or transparent. I've got transparent because I kind of like that. The dock background, I can set a custom background if I want. Right now I just want it to be transparent. And then loop mode if it were in, if I had more than one dock down at the bottom. Keep going. There's lots of stuff in here, but it's really, really well thought out. So scrolling orientation, this is how that app drawer scrolls. And I showed you horizontal page by page. We can do vertical continuous. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't do a vertical by page as well, but that's a feature request that if they're watching this video, they can go ahead and do for us. We'll keep it horizontal page by page. We'll come down here. Again, we can change the grid size. We can even set a custom background. We can show the labels or not show them. We can hide the app icons if we want. This is very convenient if you've got bloatware on your phone. If there's an app or a bunch of apps that you don't use, you can hide them, which is very nice. You can change the icon sorting to alphabetical, the latest installed, the earliest installed. Seems kind of redundant here because we have those tabs. I'd like to see this done more on those tabs rather than in here, but it gives you the options, which is very nice. Transition effect. This is when you open the app drawer. What transition will it do? Well, I showed you windmill. There's also zoom and random. So zoom and random will kind of do either default, windmill, or zoom. It'll pick one out at random. We'll go ahead and change that to zoom just so you can see it, and then show locked apps if we want to as well. We won't go too deeply into that. Operation settings. We can enable or disable screen rotation. I don't like screen rotation on my home screen because it takes up extra compute cycles to be able to flip that screen around into landscape versus portrait orientation, and usually I do it accidentally, so I have that turned off. The pop-up quick menu, that's what happens when I push and hold on an icon. It has that quick menu of things that you can do. We can map the home key, have it do whatever we want from that list. The glide up action, so there's actually a gesture where you can glide up or glide down, and you can set up what you want that to be. We'll go ahead and leave that as it is. Go ahead into advanced settings. System persistent. Now, that's something that most modern launchers allow you to do, but they do have this warning. It says it's experimental, it may cause instability. Basically, your launcher is just an app, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you can install a new one just like you can install a new app. It's a bad thing because just like other apps, it can swap in and out of memory whenever the system needs more memory. Okay, so what does that mean? If I'm in the Facebook app and then I want to switch over to the Plume app, I can go ahead and do that. And if I don't have enough system memory to be able, or enough RAM if you want to use that term, to keep both of them in memory at the same time, it will swap one out, which is fine. Basically, it's kind of closing that app but remembering its state until I want to switch back to Facebook, and then it has to go back and reload Facebook and apply that where did you leave off information. So it takes a little bit of time to do that, versus if it were actually still in memory, it would just swap over to it and it wouldn't be a problem. Well, apply that to your launcher. So if I launch Plume and then I go back to my launcher, if for some reason I've got enough stuff running in the background that I've run out of memory, it could have swapped out my launcher to give me extra RAM for whatever the foreground app is, whatever's running right now. So that can add extra time when it has to pull that app in and populate it with all the screens and widgets and icons and whatnot. So it can take, not very long, but even still, a second or two when you're just trying to get back to your home screen is relatively long. So if you're running into that type of condition, you might want to try the System Persistent, which will basically make your launcher app stay in memory even if it needs it. Now that means that other stuff is going to have to swap out, but if you do a lot of work on your home screen, going back to it quite a bit, you may want to try that out if you're noticing that it's closing and reopening. So next thing is prevent force close. This will attempt to prevent force closes when running out of memory. It just kind of goes hand in hand. That's something that I think should be kind of built into the operating system, but for some reason they give you that option right there. Clean rubbish data. Obviously a more Queen's English translation. This, I believe, is a Chinese company that's making this, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But this will go ahead and check and clean for overlapping shortcuts or widgets on the home screen, so just kind of cleans up things. When you start getting into tighter grids, that 5x5, you can get stuff overlapping, and this will attempt to clean it up, as I understand. Font, you can change your font to pretty much whatever font you have installed on your system. It will go through and do a scan to show you what fonts you have. It's found 4 so far, 5 total, and I can then come in and, I don't know what that does, change my font. So there you go, there's the fonts that it found. I can leave it at default or change to one of the others. This is where I was mentioning before. So I can display an unread text message count, or a missed call count, or an unread Gmail count. But to do that, I have to have these separate apps. The apps are free. In fact, everything that I've shown you so far has been free. You can go out to the Android market and get it, or head over to Pocketnow.com and I'll give you links to get you started. But you go ahead and go out and download and install these, and it extends functionality of the launcher to include that. So let's see what else we've got. There's also themes that you can do, back up your configuration, so if you need to reload, like I do a lot, because I'm flashing all kinds of ROMs and whatnot, I can restore that configuration, and then all I have to do is reconfigure my widgets, because you can't just restore widgets. So kind of neat and interesting. And then of course there's a reset to default. But let's get back over here. So here's this. You can see my new transition that I put into place. Okay, you can see the zoom effect on the app drawer, so kind of cool. But now, since we're back here, let's talk about widgets. Now, you've probably seen a couple of widgets on here. Now, here is my my feeder widget. Here's my news widget, my Plume and Facebook widgets, and some other stuff. This is called Go Weather. It's by the same company, and this is actually a... let me back up just a minute. One of the things that you can get with a custom launcher is custom widgets. And those custom widgets can do all kinds of neat things. HTC Sense probably being the best example, where they've got this animated flip clock. Well, that animated flip clock and other widgets that come with HTC Sense take advantage of stuff built into HTC Sense and extend it to be able to do cool things in the widgets. But those widgets only work on HTC Sense. Well, Launcher Pro widgets only work on Launcher Pro. ADW Launcher widgets only work on ADW Launcher. Samsung's TouchWiz widgets only work on TouchWiz. Motorola's MotoBlur widgets only work on MotoBlur. Well, this has the same thing. Let me go over here to a blank area, and you can see I've got a Go widget section. So I can tap that to either load up my Contacts widget or Task Manager widget. And that's really all the widgets that come prepackaged with this launcher. But you can also load up other widgets. For example, this is, you know what, I've forgotten the name of that, so let's go ahead and take a look. This is separate from the launcher itself. It's called Go Weather, and there are 3 different styles, a 2x1, 4x1, and 4x2. So let's go ahead and put a 4x1 on here, just because it looks a little bit different than the 4x2 on the other screen. Now, it's just a regular old widget. This will work on any launcher. You don't have to be using Go Launcher. So there's the smaller one, there's the bigger one, and it looks an awful lot like the HTC Sense widget or Beautiful widgets or whatnot. Looks really cool, but here's what's cool. It comes with Go Weather. It's not just a widget, it's an app that has widgets with it. So let's go ahead and launch it. And it takes a minute to fire up, which I don't like. But once you're in there, this just got an update this morning, like I mentioned, so let's see what's in here. Bug fixes. Fixed a video display defect, other minor fixes and UI adjustments, yada yada yada. Okay, and it's themable, so that's cool. So, okay, and if you look now, you'll see I'm flying through the clouds. It's a partly cloudy day. It looks really cool. Last night when it was raining, I was looking at a rain puddle. This is what it looks like at night view, and it'll automatically select between the two. So really cool effect there. I was looking at a rain puddle with the rain drops hitting it, and I was seeing the reflection of stuff above it. So it was really, really cool. I can come in here and get more information, including the barometer, all kinds of stuff. I can pull that drawer up so I can see what my detailed local forecast is. So lots of cool stuff. Really cool the way that they've done it. And then, of course, that information is fed forward onto the home screen. So really neat what you can do. Okay, that's a ton of stuff. I mentioned that this isn't just a launcher. There's lots of plugins for it. And just to try and wrap this up for you, if I come in here to my dialer, you can see, and I've left this not defaulted, if you will, so you could see. Normally it's going to launch my phone app, but I can install Go Dialer, which is also free in the market, which kind of reskins my dialer. And you can see it looks very, very different in here. My contacts also look different. My groups, let's see if I can get down to that, are cool. Now I can go into friends, family, coworker, businesses, government, all kinds of stuff, right? Neighbors, coworkers. So lots of cool stuff, and I can go into favorites as well. Very different view from what you're used to, but it's starting to now turn into less of just a launcher and more of an entirely new theme or skin to the Android experience. They're doing it bit by bit by bit. Let me see if there was one other thing that I wanted to show you. Ah, yes, that's what I wanted to show you. So let's go ahead and see what I'm going to do here. Go ahead and fire up Gmail, and we'll compose a new message. Now, in this new message, there's my on-screen keyboard. Now, this is Go Keyboard. They also have a keyboard. Again, this will work with any launcher. So if you like this kind of keyboard, it's skinnable, it's themable. So if you apply a theme to one part of Go Launcher, it will apply over here to your keyboard and to your other stuff, your widgets and apps and whatnot as well. So everything has a consistent look and feel to it. Really kind of a cool approach to go in and systematically replace bits and pieces of the stock Android experience with the new Go experience, for lack of another word. So fabulous, great, I love it. Now let's get to the things I don't like, and the list is very short. Number one, this, when I tap on letters, doesn't always do a screen vibration. In fact, this is the first time that it's done a vibration for me. I don't know why. I don't like that it's kind of intermittent. Second, when I'm up here typing in an address bar, I don't have a space. I have a .com button, which is nice unless I need a space, and then I've got to go in and switch. I would much rather have that button split or have a dedicated button, because when I'm doing a Google search from the address bar, I might want to do Joe space Levi instead of joe.com Levi. That just doesn't work. I mean, and yes, I have done a couple of those searches and they've not worked well. Next thing, translation isn't great. Okay, they've gone through and translated some of the stuff, and it's very obviously not English native speakers who are doing this translation. That's going to improve with time, of course, and that's about it. I mean, for those two little nitpicky things, the launcher's fabulous. It's really, really good. It's something that really definitely warrants being included in our launcher wars. It's not quite up to the same level of completeness and polish as Launcher Pro and ADW Launcher, but it has bells and whistles that those two don't. So it's very worthy of inclusion in this. Sorry it took me so long to get this review out there, but as you could tell, this is a long video because there's a lot of stuff, not only in the launcher, but in the widgets and the other apps that come along with it, and I didn't want to just rush through and do a quick review. I wanted to get in and get deep and really do this launcher justice. So, for those of you who recommended adding this to our Launcher Wars series, thank you very much. We appreciate that kind of feedback. If there's something that I missed in the review, and I'm sure there is, please leave us a comment down below so that those who either read the article or watch the video after you can be enlightened with that information as well. And of course, this is just one version stuck in time. They're going to make improvements, so if you see this in the future and they've improved on a feature or fixed one of the bugs that I've pointed out, please go ahead and mention that for us as well. So there we go. Launcher Wars Part 3 now complete. I need to know what you want me to do for Launcher Wars Part 4. Go ahead and send me a contact request over at Pocketnow.com. Just go to any one of my articles and click on Contact Joe Levi right there on the article in the byline. And you can then send me a message saying, hey, Launcher Wars, I want to see this launcher, and this is why. And I'll go ahead and dig into that and see if it's worthy of inclusion in our top Android launchers, and see if we can shoot a Launchers War video for it as well. If you like seeing this kind of in-depth stuff, go ahead and thumbs up this video. Of course, if you haven't already subscribed to our video channel, you need to do so now. You need to recommend it to your friends, and of course, leave those comments, complaints, or requests down in the comments below. For Pocketnow, showing off all kinds of cool alternate launchers, I'm Joe Levi.